this is too many books for one person and I need to go back to basics. Hello, this is going to be a bit more of a like raw, honest video because my brain has been scattered and my books are supposed to help me to unscatter, but they're not, or well, they haven't been. So I've been in a bit of a tears about what my setup should be, what my planners should look like, and I guess I'm going to just sort of explain that a bit, set out my thoughts and what my decision has been for the time being about my books. So I'll just very quickly outline what everything is here to do and the pros and cons, I guess. So firstly, I've got my A6 avec. This is my everyday carry book. I've got a mood tracker in the very front. I'm using the calendar pages as one might traditionally use calendar pages. And then each day I have a to-do list and a little description of, you know, what I got up to in that particular day. And I have a mail tracker in the back. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. I've got the ring set up. So I did a video just a couple of weeks ago about how I was excited for this cover, how I'd done all my inserts and so on, and it just isn't working for me at all. The inserts from Megan are absolutely beautiful, of course, but I find that writing in a rings setup is frustrating. You know, I was finding that if I was getting towards, you know, the end of a line here or at the beginning of the line there, it was just getting in the way and I was feeling a bit, I don't know, it doesn't take much to kind of wind me up, and it was winding me up. I was finding that, you know, it's duplicating stuff a lot. I already have a calendar layout, so I don't need this again. The weekly layout was the main draw, the main attraction. This was pretty helpful, but I think maybe not enough to justify a whole system around it. And then I've got the trackers in here. I already had a TBR list in my A6. Maybe I'll hang on to these. These are the main things that I'm, you know, kind of interested in. I'm not throwing anything away. I'm just putting things to a side. But essentially, I think the rings might be out for me. Next is this Hon with the really cute cats on. This book I initially bought as a gift for somebody else, and they just weren't going to vibe with it, and they felt that actually it's quite an expensive book for them to maybe not maintain and not keep up. So I thought, well, okay, I'm sure I'll find a use for it. And I've used it as a health tracker. And this is probably the one that I'm least reluctant to give up, because part of me is thinking, am I wanting to give it up because of the way I'm feeling broader in my about things going on in my life at the minute, and should I actually be documenting that? But my books should not be here to give me work, make me more worried or frazzled or stressed, or whatever word you might want to use as an alternative to that. So for the time being, I'm putting this aside as well. This Moleskine has been a good, handy, quick note-taking book for when I've been out and about, particularly when I was office-based in the past. I've only got a couple of pages left of this, so I'm not disregarding it as such. It's pretty much done, but I'm primarily working at home now, so I don't necessarily need this day to day. This book was my commonplace last year, and once the new year started, I did weekly layouts in here. I set up quite a few different weeks and then I've not actually ended up using them, which is a bit of a shame, but I've got a solution to this now. So this book is essentially one that's done, but yeah, I don't need this kind of on my desk anymore. You know, I'm trying to keep things a bit more straightforward. This was my commonplace book, and I've not been getting on great with it. I've got a lot of pages left in this, and hopefully I will utilise this for something in the future, but not right now. That's getting put to one side as well. And then, essentially, a new book has entered the chat. I was in two minds for the last few weeks about giving up the A6 and just going into an April start cousin. Bronte put a story up saying she was moving into that April start cousin because of the issues she'd been having with the avec, and there's something really appealing about the cousin all of a sudden, where I'd seen a good way to use the week layout, you know, the sort of vertical weeklies, which was something I'd struggled with last year, but I'm like, oh, actually, I'd have a solution for that this year. The calendar pages are the calendar pages. The day pages are that bit bigger, so I would be able to integrate my little to-do list, my little daily log, plus the odds and sods that come up through the day, or at least I'd capture the vast majority of that. And I was toying with it, and I was thinking, well, okay, if I get that, then really I ought to get the Midori, you know, clear cover to keep it protected, and then this, and then that. And then I was like, well, am I just adding stuff to my cart because I'm stressed and I'm going for here's a thing to try and fix everything? And really it was. And every few days I would go back, I would look at it again, and then I looked maybe last night and they're all sold out. So that's the question answered for me. Deal with or utilize what you've got is something I'm trying to sort of drill into myself. I've got so many spare notebooks and so on. I really don't need anything more as appealing as the cousin might be. However, it's good for me to document or note the fact that that's the way I'm leaning when it comes to August, September time, when I'm weighing up options. I think it might be more straightforward to go, right, here's a cousin, maybe here's a nice cover. That's it. That's all I'm going to get. But we'll see how I get on. Life finds a way. Life changes. You need to adapt your system to what your situation is at that point in time. That's all I've done, really. And I feel a bit of guilt about the idea of putting all these aside. You know, the rings I might even try and sell. I'm sure I'll find, do you know what, it looks lovely. And I keep sort of debating with myself internally about what to do. But anyway, getting distracted. So, the A6, everyday little log, dear diary, this is what I did today. To-do list, keep it straightforward. And then this is the leuchtturm, I can't pronounce it, but you know, 1917 book. I don't know if commonplace is really the right term for it, because it's literally just my brain on paper is kind of how I'm referring to it. There's no real organisation to it. It's just blah, it's happening, because sometimes I just need to get my thoughts out and then be able to refer back to things. So it's mostly lists, some to-do lists, media recommendations, video ideas, and I'm often just, here's the header, I've highlighted it, maybe here's a sticker for a bit of fun, or I'm putting things in a box, and then kind of, you know, this is like quite a, it's almost like I've got a margin and an annotating in it, and that's what I needed for that particular thing. But because it's a blank notebook, it's just really adaptable for whatever I might want to do or what I might want to document. And I'm finding that I can be a bit more messy, creative, whatever you might want to call it in this book. Whereas with this, it's quite neat and tidy, and I tend to lay the pages out in quite similar ways consistently, using, you know, quite a set colour scheme and so on. So it's just a way, like I say, my brain on paper, that's the best way to put it. A way to document things and capture things and ideas where it's all in one place and it's all very clear for me to get to. I think what's quite handy is, you know, I've got Midori clips that I'll use now and again. It's got 2 bookmarks itself, and I'm using the pencil board from the Hon as well, just as an extra bookmark. I'm popping that on there. So I'm going back to basics. I think it's the overall thing. Some would probably suggest that actually, you know, you can just have a notebook and not need this. I like the structure of this. I like having the calendar in front of me and so on. So for now, this is me. I'm not going to panic buy something different because I've already got lots of options in front of me. And I felt that once I kind of made that call for myself internally, that it was just a bit more mental baggage gone. I think part of it as well is through January and February I was having quite a hard time with things, and part of me wants to like make that go away. And I think psychologically there's something about moving into a fresh book that's like new start, which is one of the reasons I'm very grateful to have the avec. As it is, I'm trying to take the approach of, well, that's all part of reality. That stuff did happen. Getting a new book doesn't take those things away. It's only a couple more months before we're into the second half of the year anyway. Not that I want to wish the time away, but yeah, getting a new book's not going to change events. So I'm going to carry on with these. Keeping on top of all these was just starting to feel too much right now. I need to make things straightforward, and also I need to spend more time doing than documenting. I enjoy documenting, don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make shit happen, and to do that I don't want to be just fully absorbed in the books all the time. So obviously I like this stuff and I like talking to you about this stuff, so nothing's going to stop in that respect. I don't know if anyone else has sort of felt this way recently. I guess I've been making a lot of big decisions lately, and decision fatigue is real, and maybe that's been part of it. I may reintroduce stuff back. I may end up thinning things down further, who knows. Hopefully I'm going to be keeping things a bit more refined, basically, moving forward. That's the plan for the time being. Hopefully that was kind of interesting. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.